Whoops. God dang it. Oh, did I get it right? I didn't type in the whole thing. I think I got it right. Is this it right here that I shall do? Or do you want me to do video? Oh, this is a long one, huh? Oh, you're sitting me in for this one. Okay, hang on. Oh, hang on. Phonics. I'm hooked on phonics. All right. So guys, this looks like it's a long one. Now I know what the generosity was about on the donation, because I'm going to have to sit here and put some warm butt time on this one. Jake Vienna, the donation portal is what's on the About page on Twitch. It goes through either Venmo, you could do it, and then you could type it in there, or the Sound Lab, what's it called? Not Sound Labs, but those other people. But it's all there if you'd like. Anyhow, all right, guys, here we go. This is a long sit. All right. Yep, that's definitely sax. I think we're in for it, guys. Last beat, let's go. Okay, this is a good place to stop, because I think I just must have gone through 3 different iterations of emotional drift on this. Obviously opening it up the way it did, and then getting that sax to come through like that. I didn't know what I was in for. I don't know if White Ward is that's the name of a band, I guess. And so, you know, when I'm doing things on Twitch, I don't know where the music's coming from. It could be a movie or anything. But all that being said, that sax as it came in, I thought I was going to get more of a kind of maybe a sludge rock, stoner rock kind of performance. One of the things I want to mention really quick that was, I just love this, and this is an engineering thing, is the isolation of the kick and of it as a completely, even though it's part of a kit, the kick on a drum set, the isolation and the dynamics and the textures digitally or post, compression, isolation is so freaking important, especially in tracks like this, because the tone can get away from you, you know. So if you go back and listen to this track at the very beginning, listen to how precise and clean and dry that kick is, because there's so much stuff going around in here, and especially with the bottom end of the saxophone and the lower ends of the opening arrangements, that kick is paramount to stand out and not collide tonally with all that. I know that's a bunch of mishmash, blah, 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 but that's what I do, mishmash, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so remember, as soon as I heard the saxophone, I heard that little kind of like pre-squeal fry thing happening. I knew we were in for something. So I learned on my journey on the heavy metal channel about blast beats, which is what we're hearing, that tick, 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 tick with the drummer. Excuse me. You know, the precision of the guitar player and his riff is, what he's playing is one thing. But one of the things that I've always found as a unique listening challenge for me is, and these guys are great at it, so they pull it off, is the syncing up between the blast beat and the riffs, you know, and being authentic about it without nudging in recording to try to lock it up. And I like the human factor of it being, maybe sometimes it sounds slightly rushed, sometimes it sounds slightly behind, but I think that's what makes it, and that's what sets it apart from, there are some things where I've gone, yeah, that's sounding a little quantized top to bottom. Of course, I would never say that out loud, but that's what I'd be thinking. Anyhow, let's go. So obviously I don't know anything about the lyrics, so I can't understand what they are. But within that last minute, we heard 4 different adjustments in tempo and time. And even in tempo, so coming out of that blast beat, it almost sounded like they slowed down maybe 10 to 12 beats per minute and got into more of a structured rhythmical pattern. And then there was another breakdown, and then now they just went into cut time. So it's now they're into a cut time. So they're energetically really taking us through a journey. One thing I have to say is I've learned in on my short couple of years of doing heavy metal and stuff like that, it is a very, what's the word I'm looking for? You know, if you're a heavy metal, you're dedicated to the sound, you're dedicated to the energy of it, the lyrics, everything that means. But when you hear a saxophone in the middle of this is almost like the heavy metal bands are saying, well, yeah, we're heavy, but we can make this kick ass with some. Now, I don't think at any second I would hear a flute, you know, doing some of the stuff. I'm saying it hasn't happened in, you know, metalcore, heavy metal and stuff like that there's flute work. As a matter of fact, I think I did hear one with it. But I've heard a couple of other metal tracks that actually have saxophone in it. And the saxophone weaving the kind of melody that it does under the dark, heavy, chaotic kind of music that's there, really, to me, it's that pull in the dynamics and the emotional delivery of this track and the composition. And I really appreciate that. I really, truly appreciate that. I don't know why, but I just got chicken skin. Goosebumps. I wasn't expecting it. Also, he went dun dun. I was like, this little padded work here. I was like, ooh. Dichotomy between that drums, that pad, and the saxophone. Okay, I want to stop. Boy, are they taking us through an emotional herky-jerky. I'm going to go back, before we get banging back into this blast beat we're about to go into, I want to go back a little bit. As an instrument, saxophone players, well, all brass players too, their bends, like guitar bends up and down, so we can or bring it back down or whatever it is, obviously is controlled by their breath and stuff. Going, ba, 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 ba. To me, that's there's emotion behind that saxophone playing. It's such a visceral, gut punching arrangement. To hear that, the dichotomy of that in there is fantastic. But I'm going to play just a little bit of what we just heard. I'm not going to go through that whole same sax solo, but I also want you to listen to something really super cool with the engineering, where you have the source recorded saxophone slightly. Let's just say, if you're listening to it, if you're looking at me, it's going to sound like 2 o'clock, but is it like at 10 o'clock? And then you have a very quick pre-delay reverb happening. So it's not like a slap delay, so it sounds like there's an obvious delay that has a rhythmical value to it, as much as it does a dynamic value. So it's got a nice reverb on it, but listen to the purposeful placement. At least that's what it sounds like to me. So let's go back just to squishy. Squishy! That's so powerful. All right. I'm sorry I'm hyper stopping, but there's so many things in this that's so insane. I'm not going to stop for the rest of the track. I'll save whatever I'm going to blah blah about afterwards. But we got to also pay homage to the engineer on this, on what that engineer does with the vocals. That the ripping, fried up, pig squealing vocals. I think that's what they call it. I'm not saying that offensively. I think they call it pig squeal. I've heard one of my favorite YouTube musician, journalist kind of guys, Nick Nocturnal. I think I've heard him use that term before. Don't know. Anyhow, that you'll hear the performer, doing that, throaty vocal performance. And it all, if you were to A-B this to like even Whitney Houston, I know that is probably the most like, what the hell did he just compare it to? I'm talking about, you have a melody or whatever you're singing here, and the answer back will be blown in stereo because the engineer either A, has the person double it, triple it, or quadruple it, and then split those hard left and rights with effect to give it like a flangey kind of vibe. And this engineer is absolutely killing it with that. Absolutely freaking killing it with that. So now let's go. Ooh, listen to that hi-hat.
No miracle worker can fix this wounds. They are to have it too well. I hope you walk in a very nice way.
I think this is the end. I'm gonna take a Chucky. Oh, there's a little bit left. Stand by. Wow, that is such an old school synth saw wave sound.
Of a system which is a productive system which is destroying the beauty of landscape, the trees and plants, the birds and other animals, for the sake of profit and all for the blessing. To destroy our precious heritage, to turn it into Japanese paper packages is verging on the wanton. A way of life which has brought affluence in this century to a third of humanity now threatens the demise of all. Too many people demanding too much, destroy the earth and trying to get what they want.
Guys, this was a great piece of work. I mean, as far as with the production, the songwriting, the journey, the music, you know, took me on. I'm sure it took you on if you were the first time listener. Even if this kind of music wasn't your forte, the one thing that you have to admit that this composition threw at us almost every single element that you could in kind of a dark metal kind of vibe. Keeping the integrity of the heaviness of it, but giving us these little flares of like change up, whether it be at the saxophone or the way they ended it with the synth and the speaking, or even towards the end of this when it became more melodic with the singing. There were a little pocket right there where all of a sudden you heard a melody with the voice and some stuff going on. So the composition of this piece of music probably had to have looked like A Beautiful Mind, you know, in the movie when you have that clear board and you're drawing on it and stuff going, wow, we'll go into this here, we'll go into this. I don't suspect this was the kind of song where everybody just grabbed a beer and sat down, you know, with a mason jar of whatever it is you're drinking on a rocking chair with guitars in the front going, hey, let's do this. Let's play a nice song. There was intense thought that went into this, it feels like to me. But then removing myself from that, you know, the breaking down of the track and listening to it as a body of, as a piece of work, I thought it was extraordinary. You know, from the musicianship to the eclectic arrangements and taking us through these completely different, you know, rhythmical journeys, if you would, branching us off there and just taking us here. And so I guess White Ward is a band that I should definitely make myself aware of.